In this video, I will be going over a bookshelf I just built. As you can see right behind me, it's all built. It's securely attached to the wall. It's just waiting to have books put on it. And what I'm going to do is break this video up into a few sections. So we'll have the intro here. Then we'll go to a section where I'm actually building it, and I'm going to do a voiceover kind of explaining what I was doing. Then I'll probably have a section putting books on the shelf, and then I'll do a conclusion where we'll come back in front of the bookshelf, talk about why I decided to build it like this, some of the pros and cons, maybe if I would do anything different, and we'll get a chance to look and see some of the books on the shelf. So let's move on to the bookshelf build. Okay, so here we go with the build. I do work for an engineering company, and so I overkill everything. I mock this up in AutoCAD just to see if I would like it and kind of to get a good material list. These are the boards I use. I bought 12 of them, so I got them for $9.72 each. They're 1 by 12 by 4-inch pine boards. Now, when you get these, I picked through at Home Depot and tried to get the straightest, nicest ones I could find. I tried to make sure there wasn't knot holes down the middle because I knew I was going to rip them all. And I first trimmed off one end to make sure I had a really good end to start with. And then I aligned them all, and I tried to get the longest length where all of them could be cut to the same length. It ended up being just under 48 inches. And so then I cut the other ends down so that they were all the exact same length. I had my PPE on, and I used this little block so that I could make sure that every piece was exactly the same. Now, I don't have a table saw, and so I use a guard that I bought that's made for this, and you clamp it onto the wood, and then you can make nice even cuts. I'm not good at freehanding these cuts. So after this was done, I ended up having 24 boards. They were 6 inches deep, almost 48 inches long, and 1 inch thick. Now, this is something I used to not take the time to do, and I've found the value in this. I wanted to go through and pick out the best looking boards that were going to be at eye level. And so I started separating these boards. I had the best, nicest looking ones that I wanted to display. Then I kind of had mid-grade ones that would be towards the bottom or top of the bookshelf. And then the worst quality boards I was going to use for the sides or the risers between the shelves. And so here I was just going through and separating them. Then once again, I used a board so that every riser was exactly 8 inches. And as you can see, it makes life easy. And I decided to mock one of these shelves up just to make sure it was to my liking before I cut all the other boards. So I was happy with it, and I decided to just go ahead and do all my cuts while I had the saw out, and it was a nice day. So I cut all of the pieces needed to do 9 shelves that were 48 inches long or wide, and 9 shelves that are about 2 feet wide, and you'll see why in the end. Now here I am assembling everything. I used a really big drill bit to kind of remove a little bit of the wood around the screw head so it would sit nice and in flush in there, and it wouldn't be raised up on the shelf below it, and that worked out really well. And so I just kind of assembly lined all the parts. I had them all cut and ready to go, and just took a little bit of time to do that. Here I am sanding everything up, cleaning it up. A lot of the boards are really nice. A couple needed a little extra, so I used my power sander there, and just kind of cleaning everything up. Now, here was something I wasn't sure was going to work, and I bought these little metal tabs, and I tested it out, and I was pretty happy with it. It seemed very stable, very secure. And so I just went with it. I used these on both sides, and on this shelf, there's some in the back to give it support in the back as well. And I was just finishing up, and here I am attaching it to the wall. So the only thing I didn't show here really is just a little bit of cleanup. I dusted and did some vacuuming, made sure there was no wood sticking up anywhere, and that's it. So now let's move on to adding some books to the shelf. And here is the finished product. I've got some books on the shelves behind me now, so you can see what it looks like. So far, this is kind of my plan. I've got the two main shelves that go against the back wall. That's almost 48 inches. And for right now, I'm going to dedicate those all to science fiction. And then over here, there's this 2-foot section that goes in the little alcove area. And for now, I'm going to have some general fiction, horror, fantasy, and some historical fiction books that I have. And at some point I'll probably go through and do a dedicated bookshelf show and tell kind of video. But for right now, you can kind of see what it looks like. A couple things, these black Target bookshelves, these I got from Target, they stick out, they're quite a bit deeper, and it does cut off the new ones a little bit, but my long-term plan is to probably move these to another location that I have in this office. And I have the ability to do probably like another 6 feet of this style bookshelf if I decide to, or if I end up filling up all of these. The way I calculated it, I could fit probably about 600 books just in this cove behind me of mass market paperbacks. Now, the reason I went 8 inches, so from the bottom of the shelf to the top of the next shelf, there's exactly 8 inches in there. And it's perfect for mass market paperbacks. You get to tilt out the book a little bit before you pull it so as not to damage it or kind of crowd the other books. So that works really well. I did test this out, and some trade paperbacks actually do fit on this shelf, but it's really tight. And that really wasn't my intention with this bookshelf, so I'm just going to stick with mass market paperbacks. But by doing the shelves so tight, I was able to get 9 shelves in this area, so it really expands the amount of books you can put on here compared to just going out and buying your standard bookshelves that have a lot higher spacing in between. So overall, I'm really happy with the way it turned out. I think they look nice. The books are just kind of thrown on here for right now. At some point in the future, I have a kind of a to-do list to go through my books and kind of clean them up. And I have a inventory system that I use. Probably do a video on that sometime in the future as well to show people how I keep track of all my inventory. And one of the main reasons is I have an offline way to look up books. So if I'm in a bookstore and there's no internet connection, I can pull it up really quickly and see if I already have that book. And as your book collection grows, that becomes very important if you don't want to keep buying the same books over and over, which isn't always horrible either. So I think that's going to wrap up this video. If you watched all the way to the end, or if you skipped this part, thank you for watching. I kind of did the build video to help anybody else that had a question like this. I did a lot of research looking for something like this, a mass market specific bookshelf system, and I didn't really find much. That's about it. We will see you in the next video.